Hey there everyone, welcome back to Gamevine, and my name is Dave, and again we are diving into the world of Dice Masters. I said I was going to try to roll out as many videos until I get up to date. Well, we are now on the Amazing Spider-Man set. Now, if you watched the last video I did, the War of Light, Green Lantern is my favorite DC hero, but I also said that in the Marvel Universe, Spider-Man is. And this is actually the hero that I started out on when it came to comics, really. So these two sets hit back to back, which really did dampen the mood on my wallet and padded the WizKids bank, but nonetheless, I did get a lot of this set. I actually have more of this set than I do the Green Lantern, which is weird. But this one is the fourth Marvel set, I think, to hit the scene in chronological order. And I'm going to go ahead and say it now that this set is a simple one. It doesn't take much of the abilities from the past sets. It does take a few and integrates them, but they really focus on the few new abilities that come in this set. I think this is the first time that they've shown up. There are zombies again, Marvel Zombie ultra rares or super rares. So without further ado, I am going to try to keep my biases aside just like the last video and dissect this set and see if it's one of my favorites or if it's a dud, which would be very unfortunate because, as you already know, I like Spider-Man quite a bit. This is one of my favorite shirts. So let's get to the dice, and you can check those out, and then we'll go over one of each of the characters' cards, because as you know, if you're an avid player, each character has multiple cards. This is not a video to learn how to play the game. There is a tutorial on my channel if you want to find that out. Right now, we're just going to check out the Amazing Spider-Man set and hope and pray that it's a good one. So let's check it out. Alright, so here we have the dice. It's quite a rainbow here. There aren't many repeats. I would say yellow or kind of orange, yellow show up the most. But beyond that, they have struck some pretty cool ones. I like the clash of colors. I picked out my favorite dice right here. The Hobgoblin one is really cool. I like orange and blue as a combo color. They did that well. And I love purple and blue too. It's kind of hard to pick up on the camera, I think. But this is the Mysterio dice. Pretty cool. And the Black Cat one is neat. And this is one of my zombies. I'm going to let you try to guess until we get to it who that is. But they have some repeating characters in here. But they're all pretty nice. The Carnage is a neat one. This one right here, Double Blades, guess who that is. Alright, so those are the dice. Now let's get on to the basic action cards, and then we'll get into the characters. Let's go. So I first want to start off by showing you what you get in the basic starter set. Here's a picture. I didn't do my research, but these are the heroes that you get. But the one thing that I do want to highlight are the throwaway bags that they've actually started a pattern with putting art on them since War of Light. I don't know which set that I like the most, but okay, yeah, I like the Spider-Man art because it's always, I don't know, Green Lantern's colorful, but this one here, I just like all the Spider-Man. It's really cool, and if they keep this up, I'm going to be keeping these bags instead of throwing them away. So here again is the picture of what you get in the starter set. Now let's get into the basic action cards. I'm only going to go over a few. Again, I want to try to keep this video as short as I can. So the first one that I'm going to go over is Spidey's Last Stand. So this one here is sacrifice a character to draw and roll 2 dice. Put the discarded character into the use pile. You can do that with a sidekick, and boom, you get dice to roll. And then with a great power, spin all your character dice up 1 level. If you get the asterisk double one, you go up to level 3. Boom, I'm a Timmy. I like getting dice and getting minions out there, buffing them up, and then you get back for seconds. Now I want to highlight this one because this is one of the abilities that comes into play in this set, and it's Underdog. Now when you're lower in life, it's when it's triggered, and this one is field any character from your use pile at level 3. So you're just taking characters out of your use pile, and you can KO them with the other basic action cards and just really spam that, and that's really cool. The last one I'm going to go over is Betrayal. Really cool card here. Deal 1 damage to the target opponent for each character dice in the field. Now if it deals at least 2 damage, it goes back into your prep area to roll next turn. You can just spam this too. These are some of the coolest basic action cards that I've had my experience in a few sets. I mean, I like some of the Green Lantern ones, but these ones are really cool. So these these are the art on the other basic action cards. I love Spider-Man's art, but now we're going to move on to the actual characters. Let's go. Alright, so before we get into the characters, let's go over the two pieces of equipment. You have a good piece of equipment and a baddie. So the web shooter here, ignore target text on target of bolt and shield character dice until the end of the turn. So again, disabling them. It's pretty thematic. I like it. And then the Goblin Glider here. This one here is search your bag for a villain character dice and put it into your prep area. A pretty cool one. So let me zoom in a little bit here. There we go. All right. So now that we have the equipment out of the way, let's go into the Spider-Man characters. Why not? Let's just go right to the bread and butter. The first one that we have, we're just going to show off Spidey himself. He's been in a lot of different sets, but they've changed up his dice here. He is a 5/4, and the 2 bring out on his final level. This one here is when Spider-Man attacks, he gets +2 attack until the end of the turn. And asterisks, instead, all of your Spider-Man characters with the emblem right up here, affiliation, get +2 attack. And his global is you spend a bolt to make their affiliation a Spider-Man character. So essentially, you can just buff people, and he's only 4 costs. That's a really good Spider-Man, in my opinion. And then we're just going to go on to the ladies in his life. Aunt May, she's more of a ally character. We've experienced this before, but they come back here. But this one is the next ability that comes into play other than Underdog. It's called Aftershock. It's kind of like a death rattle if you play Hearthstone. When the character dies, it activates. So put a Spider-Man character, not Aunt May, from your prep area into the field at level 2. So she's just bringing people in. That's kind of been the theme here. They work together pretty well. The next one here is Mary Jane. Her dice is a heart. She is also an ally, and when fielded, gain 1 life if you have any level 2 or higher villain character dice in your field. So she can heal people, and she can get her out and do a little bit. But Gwen Stacy here from the other dimension. She is another different kind of Spider-Man. Really cool. And I'm not going to go over anything. She's just a 3/4. This is one of the cheapest ones with no ability, but I like her art. Really cool. Okay, so Black Cat is the next one here. After resolving the combat, reroll any characters that block Black Cat. I like getting the characters off by hitting the energy side, and she's one of my favorite ones in the set to do so. So now we're going to go into the different Spider-Men, and the first one here is Spider-Woman, Bioelectric. She has Regenerate. Love Regenerate. One of the few things that abilities they've taken from the other sets. If Spider-Woman uses Regenerate but rolls an energy phase, she deals at least 1 damage. Now you just don't lose her. Something happens. That is the coolest Regenerate. She's only a 3/5, but she's only 3 to get into your bag. So really cool. I like her a lot. Scarlet Spider. This is one of Chris's favorites. One of my co-hosts. Maybe his favorite. Underdog. He has that ability when fielded. Ignore target character's text this turn. So just kind of like a silence. Next we have the Agent Venom, one of the cooler Venoms. I like this one here, and kind of a little tidbit into my personal, I am a few degrees from the artist here. He lives pretty close by. Pretty cool. And his dice is a really cool one. He has Underdog. Agent Venom deals damage before the opposing character, so kind of like a first strike, if you will. So he can, instead of dying, just take him out. Really cool. And the next 2 you're going to see here are 2 of my ultra rares. Spider-Girl. She has Underdog. When fielded, deal 1 damage to an opponent, target opponent. So she's pretty cheap. You can get a whole bunch of her, 5/4, and just throw her and keep doing ping damage. Really cool. My other ultra rare is the Iron Spider, one of the coolest suits to come into play. I really like this one here. And it says Iron Spidey takes no combat damage. Anytime your opponent can use a global ability, they may pay 2 generic energies to ignore that. So he is pretty strong, especially defensively. He's a 4/9. You can get him out there and just take people out. So those are basically all the Spider-Man characters, but there are other Spider friends that have the Spider affiliation. So let's go over those now. Alright, so Silver Sable is next. The one card that I'm going to go over is whenever Silver Sable was blocked, the defending player loses 1 life and you gain 1. So he's kind of like sapping it. A cool one here. And then we have Firestar. She is a cool little character. She is a 5/4 at her highest. When Firestar takes damage, deal 1 damage to a target character or player. There's a lot of pain in this. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. But then we have Iceman. He reappears again. I think this is like the 3rd reincarnation in Dice Master World. If Iceman takes any damage on an opponent's turn, both players may pay 1 energy or sacrifice a character. So that's taking stuff out, you know, freezing them and immobilizing them, and then they die. Okay, so White Tiger is next. When you field a sidekick, White Tiger gets +1 attack until the end of the turn. So if you're running a sidekick deck, she is a 4/5, pretty cheap to bring out too. You can really bump her up and make her aggressive deck. So the swords, like I mentioned before, belong to Blade. Blade has interacted with Spider-Man, but not as much as I don't know. I guess a few times he has been there. So Underdog, when fielded, Blade deals 2 damage to target opponent, and you gain 2 life. Again, this ability is back into play. Let's move it over a little more. Kind of that sapping nature. So Daredevil comes into play. I really like that show. Well, the 2nd season was okay. So Underdog again, a character blocking or blocked by Daredevil gets a -2 attack. So he's not that strong, but he saps there and debuffs them other characters. So Ghost Rider is back, but this is the female version. She has Aftershock. If Ghost Rider was blocked, she deals 1 damage to a target opponent. The next one here is the Hulk shows up again. The dice in this one is different and it's cooler, and it's the art from the Planet Hulk, one of the best written graphic novels ever. I love that one. One of my favorites. And I wish this Silver Surfer would come from that universe. But he has Aftershock. He's really strong. 7/9. Each player must sacrifice another character. They're doing that a lot in this set. Then Gladiator comes up next. He is a 5/7. When Gladiator is blocked, he gets +1 attack and defense per affiliation icon on his blocker. Okay, I don't know how often that would trigger, but okay, and I don't know when Gladiator did much with Spider-Man, and same with the Hulk other than the Adventures, especially Planet Hulk. But again, they just kind of shoehorn characters and do a lot of the theme, but they want other people to buy it if they don't necessarily like that theme just for these shoehorn characters. Speaking of which, when did Luke Cage come into the picture? Anyway, he is another affiliation with the Spider-Man, and first time Spider-Man would take damage each turn, you may have Luke Cage take that damage instead. And he's a 6/6, so he can absorb some stuff like that, which is cool. So the next 2 here are a combo, kind of like these characters, and they're supposed to get their own show on the CW. Dagger, she has Underdog. Dagger may not be targeted by your opponent. And the next one here, Underdog. If Cloak or Dagger is blocked, prevent all damage to them until the end of the turn. So Cloak and Dagger work together, so that's pretty cool. So those are all the Spider-Man characters and the non-kind of affiliation characters. The few other characters that come into play for the Guardians of the Galaxy, Drax, he comes, and his dice is pretty cool, and he's just in here to complete the set because he hasn't been in the set before. He has Underdog, and this one is a long one. You may field Drax for free. Basically, he's a 3 as his final ability. Level, and that's pretty expensive, so you want to get that for free. A Black Widow comes into the fold, like we need another one, but she's an Avenger, and she has Aftershock. I guess they just want to put Aftershock on her. Deal 1 damage to target character, die, or player, and she's a 3/3. Yes, whatevs. But they do have a few more X-Men. Blink comes in to play, and I really like her dice. Really cool, translucent, and she's thematic as well. When Blink is blocked, you may pay 1 energy to remove her from combat, so she's blanking out. But like we need another Wolverine, well, I guess we do. But this one is different, of course. If another X-Men character leaves the field zone, Wolverine gets +2 attack and defense till end turn. That's been kind of his theme whenever he's in the game. Okay, so those are all the good guys. Let's go over the bad guys now. Alright, so we'll start with Kingpin. I love the purple on the white. Crisp dice, very neat. He's pretty strong too at a 5/7 for a 5 to bring out. When Kingpin takes damage, spin him up a level. He's getting angry, hulking up. So Green Goblin comes back into play. We have another one, but his dice, of course, are different. I like that they're making the dice different, if they had to bring him back. You may pay 1 life to field Green Goblin for free. Anytime you can use a global ability, you may pay 1 life to spin Green Goblin up 1 level. That's pretty cool, I guess. And Sandman comes into play. He's pretty cool. He has an Aftershock. You may pay 1 energy to reroll Sandman. If he lands on an energy face, deal 3 damage to target non-villain character. He's just blasting them. He's only a 3/3 too, so I think that's kind of expensive, personally. But then Lizard comes into play. He's just no ability one I'm going to show, but he is a 6/3. That's pretty big for a character to bring out at a 3 energy cost. Pretty nice. I wish there were more symbiotes in here, but we did get Carnage. So Carnage is a cool one. He grabs Overcrush from the other sets. My favorite ability. When you use an action dice, Carnage gets +1 and Overcrush until the end of the turn. Big deal for me. Okay, so the Rhino comes into play. This is a weird one. When fielded, sacrifice another character die to KO all sidekicks in play. If an opponent's Spider-Man is active, your sidekicks aren't KO'd. So it's going to KO all the sidekicks unless there's a Spider-Man character on the other side. And there's a lot of Spider-Man characters in the sets, but that's not always going to happen. So you might not be running sidekicks at all, and you might put him in there. He's pretty strong at a 7/6 on his final level, but 6 to bring out. Who knows if that's worth it. All right, so Doc Ock comes into play, and they have 2 different affiliations, the Sinister Six and the villains. I like that. So while Doc Ock is active, all characters' dice gain Aftershock. The player who has an active Doc Ock may move an action dice from the use pile to the prep area. So everyone has that. So you can get your action dice. This is really an action dice set, and you've seen how good the ones are. You might just build around that. Really cool card, super expensive, but an 8/8 on its final level. Kraven comes into play. I only have 1 of him. But when fielded, Kraven deals 2 damage to each opposing Spider-Man character. He sometimes is a good guy, but mostly, yeah, he's a villain. Alright, so Vulture comes into play. I think he's been... yeah, we've had him in here before. When a character leaves the field zone, you may pay 4 energy to purchase Vulture dice and put him into your bag. So it's a kind of a free kind of step if you have that kind of energy. Alright, so one of my favorite villains, I don't know what it is about Mysterio. Maybe it's just the kind of hallucination and the cool art about him, and he's a fishbowl. So his character says, when an opponent draws a dice, you may sacrifice 1 of your sidekicks to move the character dice from the use pile to the prep area. That's thematic, he's playing his tricks. Pretty cool dice, like I said before. One of my other favorite dice is the Hobgoblin. I'm glad he's in here, and this is one of the newer versions. I like that art. While Hobgoblin is active, when your opponent uses global abilities, they may sacrifice the sidekick to gain 2 life. Yeah. It is what it is. This guy is pretty big. If another character you control is KO'd during the attack step, you may spend any number of electric for each that you deal 1 damage to your target opponent character. So opposing character more, and you're just kind of pinging them again. So the last card that I'm going to show you is my last ultra rare or super rare, whatever you want to call it, and this is Kingpin, the only zombie that I got out of the set. But of course they knock out all Kingpins when they come into play, and while the Kingpin is active, your sidekicks cannot be blocked by sidekicks, and Spider-Man costs 2 extra to field. Again, very specific to the Spider-Man set, but you also, if you're running sidekick decks, you can have him in here. He's a 7/9, pretty powerful for a 6 cost, and only 2 to field. So those are all the cards that I've gathered in this set. Of course, there are more super rares that you can get, but you can get about 20 booster packs and get some rares and really be on your way. So, with all that being said, let's go to my opinion and give this set a grade and tell you what I think. Let's go. Alright, so that is the complete set in a nutshell. Now, what do I think of it? Personally, with all biases aside, I think this is a great set. With biases on my side, I absolutely love this set, and I'm going to be giving it a grade and or a percentage, which I settled on a 95%, which is a strong A. Not the highest grade I've given to a Dice Master set, and this isn't my favorite, but I will say it does just squeak out a win from the War of Light. That's surprising because I like Green Lantern more, but The thing about that set is it was really just kind of pigeonholed into the fact that the affiliations really had to work on each other. Now this is apparent in this set too, but there have been so many Spider-Man characters out, and it has some of the things that you can, I think, integrate in a easier way than the Green Lantern set. But I love the theme. I love that they didn't make it too complicated. This is good for avid game players of Dice Masters and newbies, because I think Spider-Man personally is it has a greater fan base because it's just more approachable, and people know Spider-Man. It's been out in the movies longer. I think it was one of the first highest ranked comic book movies of its kind, and I think if people want to get into Dice Masters, this is a pretty good set. And Marvel seems to have that kind of way about it. The ones that came out first, I would get a starter on those sets, the Uncanny and X-Men one, and Avengers, and I would do the same with Spider-Man here. So that's what I kind of liked about it. It didn't integrate too much. The two things it did, Underdog and Aftershock, it had a pattern, like a rotating kind of ability theme, and that's what I liked about it the most, because once you've learned that you're going to be pinging one damage a lot, you're going to be using a lot of basic action dice, and you're going to be KOing characters with the abilities. And of course there are other things that go along with it, but that is kind of the rotating door, and that's it's super fun. And like I said, 95%. It's one of my favorite, and I can't wait to do my top 10 Dice Masters and see if this makes it, but it probably will. And I would play this set anytime. So that is what I think about the Amazing Spider-Man set. I love that the bags are now art again. The zombies are one of my favorite ultra rares. I like the Black Lanterns, and they're both pretty cool. I wish I was able to get more of them, but I had a pretty good share to show you guys out there. So now you know if you are going to be keen to getting this set and getting the cards and trying out the strategy of Aftershock or Death Rattle and Underdog, or if it's not a set for you, but I think it might just be a set for you. So I would say that this set does a great job encapsulating the Spider-Man theme, and as you know, that's why I played Dice Masters in the first place. So that is a big whoop whoop when it comes to praise from me. Now, I do wish that there were more symbiotes, and we'll have to wait and see if they'll do more expansion spin-offs for the Amazing Spider-Man and call it something different, and we'll get more symbiotes. But nonetheless, thank you so much for watching today's video. That is basically it. Now, if you are a new viewer and you like what you see, well, click that like and subscribe button. That helps us grow, and it makes us more sure of ourselves, and so we can do more reviews and know that you are liking what we are producing. Now, if you are a repeat watcher, what do I say? We appreciate it so much. You are the lifeblood and help us grow as well. If you keep on watching the videos, well, we're going to keep on making them. Now, I do want to send out a huge thank you to WizKids for your continuing support. We also can't do it without you, at least as fast, because the product that you help us with helps us get the videos out to the fans, and I'm sure that they appreciate it as well. So, until the next time that I see ya, I've been Dave, and have a great rest of your day, and a great time with all the Dice Masters that you play. You've seen it here on the Game Vine. I'm out, everybody. Bye!